just setting up a bit and making sure that you guys will be able to see what I'm doing. You may not be able to see my face throughout the whole thing, but I think we'll be okay. Hi, Michelle. Hoping you can see. You may not be able to see my face throughout the whole thing, but I'm glad you're here. All right, let me get everything together. I'm going to give, I know there are a few people that are going to be coming. So let me just get everything all set up. I mean, within reach. And then I'll start to explain what I'm going to be doing. Did you manage to see part 1 of it, Michelle? Hi, Sharon. Welcome back. Part 2. Did you manage to watch part 1 of it, Michelle? Today's part 2 where I'm going to continue, but I did have the link for part 1 in the trailer, and I'm going to post it within the this video as well, so that you can have a chance to go back and see the how I got up to this point. I know Sharon was here for part 1, so let me see who else. Yeah, it'll give you an idea of what happened before, Michelle, and that way you can see how I got from there to here, because this is going to be the continuation of it. Sharon, you were here, so I guess she's going to be a mermaid. And I'll explain why she's blue today and not the original color. All right, so let me get in making sure everybody can see me. Hate to have my leg in the way, but. All right, so let me bring all of the material that we're going to be working with. This is going to be the messy day like I promised. All right, so let me tell you what happened over the last few days, because when I left off, she was all aluminum foil, and I had started to put on the masking tape, and then this masking tape wouldn't work. Remember that, Sharon? It wouldn't work, so I had to go and get some new masking tape. But what I did also, I kind of gave her a little bit more of a voluptuous body just by adding in some more aluminum foil. And I got instead this blue painter's tape. And this is what I used to cover up everything, even the white masking tape that I had on there. I just used the blue masking tape. This is actually painter's tape, and it is very strong and works really well. So that is why she is blue today instead of this color, because we had so many issues with that tape. So I ended up getting a different one. But I did add on, you can tell that I kind of added on a little more, gave her a little bit more hips, and she's got a little bit more booty as well. So, but you know, throughout the last few days, I've been kind of pondering what she's going to become. So she will become a mermaid today. And I'm going to show you the process. These, I'm sure you remember, she did have 2 legs. I simply kind of bent them together, joined them here with the tape, and then this is what's left. But I thought that would have been a little too small for a fin. So I went ahead and made a fin using aluminum foil. And all I did was literally take a sheet of aluminum foil and kind of fold it to look like a mermaid's fin. And then I took it and I covered it up in that same blue masking tape, right? So today, what we're going to do is attach this fin into that spot here so that she becomes a full-fledged mermaid. You see that? And then I will wrap it so you don't see any of this underneath. And all you will see is that beautiful mermaid. And we'll go from there. So let me do that right now. So let me go ahead and rip a couple pieces of the tape. And this tape, rips really easily. It's really, really sticky. It doesn't give me any issues like that other one did. Let me just tear off a few pieces. And a tip for this part is you wear clothes that you don't mind getting messed up, because the material that I'll be working with in a little bit, the popper pole, like I mentioned before, it does not come out of your clothing. The only thing that it will not stick to is plastic. So I have a large plastic tablecloth on my floor. So anything that drips here, it will just get onto the plastic, but it will remain in clothing. So I'm wearing clothes that I do not mind getting messed up. So here's the fin. And all I'm going to do is just take a piece of tape and start attaching the fin. Go ahead and do that. And you want to make sure that you cover all of the aluminum foil. You do not want any of that to be showing. Did anybody jump in that okay. I know a couple more people are going to be coming, but I don't want you guys to wait. And they will always watch the replay, this part. So see what I'm doing? I'm just simply wrapping the tape and attaching that fin. And when I'm finished, you won't even see where I've attached it once I start with the next step. Need one more piece. All right. Remember on Tuesday when we were going through the first part, Michelle, we weren't sure what I wanted it to become, but she's a mermaid today. And I don't know if well, you weren't here for part one, so I'm going to jump up in a minute and show you. Actually, it might be easier to do the replay, to watch the replay of part one, because I don't want the other completed sculptures to be down here while I'm working on this, because they may get messed up. But I'm going to show you one real quickly since you weren't here. And then I'll show you the completed. Forgive me for jumping up. All right. Michelle, this is one of them that I did. And this one is called Dreamcatcher. And I'm going to be working with the same color today, which is the bronze. And she's quite tall. Let me see if I can pull her back so you can see. But today we're going to be doing a mermaid. All right, so I'm going to put this over to the side, out of the way, and then we'll continue with this. Okay, so the tail, or the fin, I should say, the mermaid's fin is now attached. And there she is. And let me show you what she's going to be. My son and I have been kind of playing around with positioning earlier, before I came on live. This is actually a rock that I found outside, but I didn't like how it looked. So I took it and I wrapped it with aluminum foil, and I covered it up with masking tape, like you see here, just like I did with the mermaid. So what's going to happen is the mermaid is going to be seated right here, and I'm going to have her positioned where her fin, let me see if I can rest it. This will come down. Right here, I can manipulate her, so she'll sit right there, and then this part will come down some more, and her fin will kind of flip out. Can you guys see that? So that is the goal for this one. All right. And I'll figure out positioning for her arms and everything as I get her positioned on the rock. So what we're going to do next, this is the fun part where it gets really messy. Put that to the side. I'm going to show you some of the fabrics I'm going to be working with. These are some crochet pieces that I found at an antique store. They were like 25 cents. Here's another piece, and that's going to become her little skirt. Have another piece right here, and I'm thinking about like a scarf. I know mermaids may not necessarily carry scarves, but for this one, she will. So I have that piece I'm going to be using. And they're colored, they look white now, but they'll actually become bronze. And have some material here that is going to become her hair. I don't think I'm going to make it very long, but it will definitely be full. Okay, so that will become her hair. And I have some other pieces here that I'm going to be working with. May or may not, depends. This is a piece of lace. I'm trying to see how I could, get that, work with this with the mermaid. It's really pretty. Anybody jumping? Where do you purchase the material from? Well, like I said, these pieces came from a thrift store, like a little antique store, and they just had like a bucket of stuff thrown in, and they literally were about 25 cents, but they are old pieces of crochet. And then some of the material, like this material, actually came from this is from a company called PowerTex. They have very similar material to Powerpole, but I like the material to work with hair, to make hair, which is what this is. So that came from a company called PowerTex. And let me show you some more. This one, which I showed you a piece, is this. It's really stretchy, and I'm going to show you what happens when we dip it. This is the same material, and it's called stockinette, and this comes from the company called Powerpole, which is also the name of the material that I'm going to be working with. So there's several places where I get the material from. And of course, the aluminum foil came from the Dollar Tree, the tape from the Dollar Tree. Oh, one more material that I'm going to be working with, and this will be the first thing I use. It's almost like tissue, but it's made of cotton, not paper. Like a little wipe, but very stretchy. And this is also from the company called Powerpole? Yes, Powerpole. Because I use other material as well. So, all right. And this is what I'm going to be using first to create kind of like the skin on this, which would be the very first layer on now that I've gotten the sculpture part, the armature part finished. This is also what I'll be using to wrap the rock and to create that bronze look. Now I can't decide if I want to do the rock in black or bronze. So what do you guys think? Who just popped on? Hi, Net. First sketchy material looked very similar to cheesecloth. Yes, it does. And I actually have cheesecloth here as well. This is cheesecloth. And this, I don't know if I can open it up, but that is cheesecloth. And then this material, that first stretchy one, also looks like cheesecloth, but it's much more stretchy than cheesecloth. And the difference between cheesecloth and this tends to fray sometimes. So depending on where I have it cut, sometimes the ends will kind of fray off. So, well, welcome. All right, what was I doing? All right. So I can't decide if I wanted to do the rock in black and then have the sculpture in bronze sitting on top of it, or have everything in bronze. So you guys want to help me out? What do you prefer? Remember also, some lucky viewer is going to be taking this sculpture home when it's completed. So I'm going to go through all of the lives. I definitely won't finish the sculpture today. So I will most likely come back on again tomorrow to do the completion. And someone who's been on this live from part 1 all the way to part 3 is going to be getting this. So this is a giveaway. And you'll be watching me do the entire thing. But let me know, what do you think? Should I do the rock in black and then do the mermaid in bronze, or should I do the entire thing in bronze? Let me know. Contrasting materials, always great. Okay, so I have one person for black rock. Anybody else? I think that's what I'll do. So let me go ahead and I'm going to start with the rock. Let me just grab a stick. Always want to mix this up. And just to give you an idea of how well this thing holds, this is the stick that I used to mix up some of the material, and it's actually stuck to the bottom of the container. So if you are not, black is good. We've got two blacks. Michelle, you can't decide between the bronze and black, or okay, so I'm gonna do the rock and black. I think that would be cool. But yeah, this, if you do not want your clothes to get messed up, wear old clothes that you do not mind getting destroyed, because once it's dried, it is rock solid. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mix up the black popper pole because I do have some, and then we will do the mermaid next, because I want to have the base ready for her to sit on. So that's the reason why I'm doing the rock part first. So let me put these other materials to the side so I do not get them messy. And I'm going to be needing maybe 3 or 4 of these wrappers. And then also the black popper pole. And this is a brand new container. I don't think I've opened this one as yet. So let me go ahead and open this. Okay. I'm going to grab some gloves, which I know I have nearby, because I was so prepared today, you guys. Yes, I know. All right, I do have gloves. And the reason why I wear gloves, and I get the cheap ones, you can get these from the Dollar Tree, because I can just simply pull off and then grab a new pair. And you want to use gloves. I mean, sometimes I use gloves, sometimes I don't. But it is very hard to come off of your fingers. Kind of have to peel. It's almost like when you put, when we were kids and we would put glue on our hands and it would dry and we'd sit there and peel. I typed in all bronze, but then you decided to do the rock and black. But it's, I think, yeah, I was thinking about having the black rock. I think it would be nice contrast. So, all right, so I'm going to go ahead. This is not going to come off, so I would just go ahead and use it the way it is. All right, so the gloves are ready, and I'm going to go ahead and just stir it up. Let me show you what it looks like. This is what it looks like now. You can see it's liquefied right there, but I have to stir it, and then you'll see the black. So let me see if you can come down to just a second, and I'll show you what I'm doing right there. So you can see, I'm just going to go ahead and stir. It takes me a couple minutes to stir this up. But you want it to be really, really stirred well. Okay. Okay, thanks. What did you mean, Sharon? Were you responding to someone else? Thick is, yes, it is very thick. But there's a lot that hasn't been stirred in yet, so I want to go ahead and get that stirred together. You guys feel free, if you all aren't connected, please connect with each other. And I appreciate you being patient. I should have done this before, but I for some reason thought it would have been fine since it was a brand new one. All right, I think we're almost there. And I'm not using a lot of the black since I'm just doing it on the rock. And I know that the bronze is already stirred. The material tends to settle. That's why you want to go ahead and always stir it up. And thanks for giving a thumbs up and sharing. I think we are almost there. There are a couple lumps in here still, but it's stirred enough to where I can use it. But that is the black powder pole. And I'm making a gigantic mess, which is why I have a lot of wipes here. You go ahead and wipe up some of this. All right. Okay, so what I'm going to do is get these wrappers. And let me get this container. Let's wipe this off. Put that in there. Put that to the side. And now I'm going to be wrapping this rock. So I'm going to keep the camera angled down. That way you guys can see what I'm doing. All right, so I'm going to use these as big as they are, just in full. And all I do, after I get my gloves on, is simply take this, and usually I would cut them up when I'm working with the sculpture. I cut it into smaller pieces, but because I'm just covering the rock, I'm going to keep it whole. So I just simply take these and kind of ball it up, dip it, and you want to make sure that it is not dripping, but you want it to be saturated. You do this without dripping all over my laptop. So you want to make sure it is completely saturated, not dripping, but see how they're white spots? You want to keep doing this until those white spots vanish. So I don't want it to be dripping wet, but you do want the whole thing to be covered. And all I'm going to do is simply take this now and drape it over the rock. And if there are any white spots, I can simply brush some more material on there. It looks like they're white spots, but it's actually just the light showing through because it's stretched. All right, so I'm going to take this and just drape over the rock. And just kind of creating some folds and a little bit of wrinkling because you don't want it to be completely smooth. You want to give it a little bit of character. You lift it up so you can see. Yeah, all I'm doing is kind of draping it over, and I'm going to be using several pieces. Okay, let's get another one, and I'm going to keep doing this. Are you using latex paint? No, this is not latex paint. This is the powder pole material. Powder pole is a how do you put this? It hardens material. It hardens anything except plastic. It will stick to anything but plastic. So by the end of this, once this is completely dry, it will sound like bronze, look like bronze. Actually, this part will be black. It's basically it's a textile hardener. That'll be it. So basically, any kind of textiles that you use this with, it will harden it like rock. When I take off my gloves the next time, I'm going to show you the other sculpture and hit it so that you can like a resin. Similar, yeah, it's very similar. Let me go ahead and drape this over. And notice I'm not, I don't want to flatten anything out because I do want to give it a little bit of character on there. I don't want it to be completely smooth, but I am kind of sticking it on to, and I'm going to be working underneath as well because I want the entire thing to be covered. All right, so a couple more pieces. Yeah, Power Pole is the name of the company, but it's also the name of this particular textile hardener that I'm using. I do have other material that I use to make things look like stone. So it hardens it like stone, but it also looks like stone after I'm finished. All right, so there's another one. I'm going to start wrapping the bottom now, and then I'm going to set this to the side. Now, because I'm setting this on plastic, it will not stick to the plastic, and I can come back and remove it after it's dried and ready for the mermaid. But if I set this down on anything like wood, cotton, any other material except the plastic, it will definitely stick and secure itself. Never heard of this. Pretty nice. It actually, I didn't hear about this until, gosh, I want to say maybe 8 years ago, or maybe 5 years ago. I was just flipping through the internet, and I happened upon a sculpture, and I thought, oh, that looks really nice. I wonder how it's done. And then I read that it was made by a material called Power Pole, and I'd never heard about it. And within 8 months, I had found out about it and gotten certified to use it. Did a 3-day workshop where I learned how to work with the material and became a certified, what they call a certified Power Pole instructor. So I do a lot of workshops with other people using this material. So what I'm doing here, I'm going to continue. There's a gap right here, so I'm just going to try to, and this is why I have a lot of plastic gloves, because I go through so many while I'm working. So I just buy these cheap ones. So let's see. We're almost there. Let's see if I can pull that up and put it in a spot where you can see. I think one more should do it. I want to make sure that it has a nice base on here. And then we'll get going with the mermaid. But I know that's really what you all want to see, but it's nice to have the mermaid sitting on something. That's why I did the base first. Make sure I'm not. Hi, Emily. It's raining here. It actually is about to rain here as well. It's been raining here all week, and I got a lot of work done outside and managed to do a load of laundry and hung on the line, because I'm one of those strange people that still hangs their clothing on the line to dry. And I managed to bring it in just in the nick of time. I'm glad you stopped by. Looks like Power Pole is only one awarded the AP non-toxic seal by the Arts and Creative Oh, you're doing your research. It's an awesome material to work with. It's so much fun. I used to work with my sculpture students with this. I even did some of it with my advanced 8th grade students. And I've also worked with adults with this. It is a fun material. You can get really creative with it. All right, so I am going to call the base finished. It's all covered. I'm just kind of giving it. So this is the base. This is what she will be sitting on. And I kind of play around with it. Make sure I get it looking exactly how I want it to look. And the bottom is covered as well. So I'm going to set this aside and let that dry just a little bit while we work on the mermaid. All right, so let's put that there. And I promised I would show the other, and all I do is just simply pull my fingers out, grab the other one, and put those to the side. All right, so I promised I was going to show the other one. All right, so this is one that I did, and I'm going to hit it so just so you realize how hard this material gets. Her dress is made from this stretchy material here, and that's what it sounds like when it's all dried. This sculpture is now cured. That's the word we use, cured, so that I can put it in the garden and the rain can come, the snow. Well, it really doesn't. It has snowed in Florida, but not kind of snow that you get up north. But this is completely weatherproof, so this can go in the garden, and it will be completely safe. So just to give you an idea of just how hard this gets. All right. So who's ready to work on the mermaid? I have it tilted down so I can't really see everybody's comment. Like that it is non-toxic. Yes, me too, because I work with young people, so I like the fact that it's completely non-toxic. But everything that I work with is non-toxic. But Pavropol is a really good company. Did I miss anybody? Guys, go in, and if you're not connected with Emily and Michelle does this awesome coloring blogs. Check her out. Or check out anybody on this live that you all are not connected to, okay? All right, let me get the mermaid, and we are going to go ahead and let's get going on her, shall we? Because you know that she is the important one. All right, so the first thing we're going to do again is I'm going to wrap her using these wrappers and dipped in. Well, actually, the first thing I'm going to do is put away the black because we're not doing her in black. We're doing bronze. So let's move the black over to there. And we grab some more wipes and just kind of wipe down this area because I don't want this to mix with the bronze. All right. There. Now this is a huge container of bronze. And I'm going to have to stir it a little bit. I'm going to grab this one, but I'm going to flip it upside down so I can stir that up a bit. And so you can see it's a brown color, but it does have a shimmer after it's dried, and it looks like a bronze sculpture. So that is stirred. Stir it up a little bit. I'm going to put that to the side. All right, so you pull it down again so you all can see. And forgive me if I'm not responding to comments. Hi, Christina. Just finishing up a video. I'm doing fine. I'm here doing part two. Do we? Yes, we are doing a mermaid. We are doing the mermaid. Yes, I showed earlier how I brought her legs together, and I ended up making a new fin out of aluminum foil, and then I attached it because I wanted a nice big, I wanted a tail fin with attitude. So, and then I just made the stand, and it's, let me see if you can see, it's right here drying, and that's where she's going to be sitting. So right now it's just drying a little bit, and we're about to start working on the mermaid herself. Okay, yes, okay, let me go ahead and jump right into this. Let me get some more gloves, another set of gloves. I just get these cheap gloves from the Dollar Tree because I go through so many, and I think there's like there's 100, which means that there are 50 pairs in here. So it lasts me a while. All right, so let's go ahead and start giving her some skin. So this is all masking tape. We don't want this to be the base. We want the, well, this is just the armature. Now I'm going to start giving her some skin with the wrappers, and then we'll start dressing her. Okay, so let's start that. And it's the same thing that I'm going to be doing. With the body, I'm just going to keep these whole, and then as I get to her arms, I may need to cut some pieces. So let's go ahead and dip again. A little bit more. And again, it's the same thing. You just want to make sure that the material has saturated the fabric. And when I'm putting these pieces on, I can, play around with the material and give like some wrinkles in there. Giving character. So these pieces can actually become the first layer of clothing. So you don't necessarily have to smooth it out completely when it's, oh, there's a white spot. All right, so let's go ahead and get it wrapped on, shall we? So what I'm going to do is start with you know what? I may just take these gloves off because they're not cooperating with me today. So what I'm going to do is kind of play around with it, stretch it out. It's like I'm wrapping on it's a onesie or maybe a jumpsuit kind of thing. Wrap that on there. Move it around. And then bring this piece back around. All right, all right, the gloves are gone. The gloves are off. I mentioned earlier that sometimes I do work without the gloves because they do tend to get in the way sometimes. All right, so you guys see? The reason I was working with it with the gloves is because it helped me whenever I was moving the laptop. But see what I'm doing? I'm just simply wrapping, and this is kind of becoming the skin, or it could possibly be the first layer of clothing. See how I kind of have that wrapped up there to simulate like a dress? So I'm going to keep doing this with a few more pieces, getting the tail fin covered and her arms and head. So one more piece. Right, yes, you guys, please go ahead and connect, talk to each other. I will periodically check to make sure I'm not missing any comments. I appreciate all of you being here, just sitting there watching me create. It is fun, a lot of fun. Well, it's a lot of fun for me to get messy, but I do appreciate all of you being there. All right, so here's the second one. So what I'm going to do here is start to wrap her tail fin. You guys see? And I just kind of bring that around. All right, so what I'm going to do here, I'm going to finish wrapping this part of her fin. I'm going to cut some pieces to do the arm, and then I'm going to bring the rock back, and we're going to go ahead and place her on it and then start dressing her from there. Okay, so let me get a few more pieces of this cut. Make sure that you guys can see. And you don't necessarily have to cut it because these rip very easily. So rather than mess up the pair of scissors, I just rip it. My granddaughter just arrived. Gotta go look. Thanks, Ned. Enjoy your granddaughter. I'm glad you stopped by. If you can, just pop by tomorrow so we can see the finished product. Have fun. Enjoy your time with your granddaughter. All right. Hoping y'all are able to see what I'm doing. So this is literally like the very first layer of skin. All right, so one more piece right there. And I mentioned before, for you guys who are just getting on, this material does not stick to plastic. So I have a large tablecloth that I'm working on, but I also have old clothing on because you do not want this material to get into any of your good clothing because it will not come out ever. Ever. It hardens. It's a textile hardener. So it will make whatever spot that it hits on your clothing, it will make it rock hard. So I always wear old clothing whenever I'm working with this material. All right, so let's wrap this last piece. And don't forget that someone is going to be taking this home. All right, so I'm giving that a little bit of wrinkling in there, just a little bit. So what do you think so far, guys? What I'm going to do is get the rock for her to sit on so you can have an idea. Lift this up. It might be good for covering holes in your clothes. It would just be really hard. Yeah. All right, so we got that part covered. Let me go ahead and bring the rock I'm going to have her sit. And I'm going to, no, this is not what I usually do, but I'm going to go ahead and because my hands have bronze on there, I don't want to mess up any part of it with the bronze. Okay, so Christine, I don't know if you were here before, when we were making the rock. The rock is in black. I got some input, and some people wanted to see the black rock. So what I'm gonna do now is place her on the rock, and she will secure herself because both materials are powerful, so they will stick together. And then we will go from there. So let's kind of squish her in there. And then I will continue dressing her once she's placed. All right. You guys can have an idea of how she's going to be. See that so far? Let me see if I can bend her fin upwards just a little bit more. All right, so I'm just kind of squishing her in just so that she will secure herself onto the rock since they're both wet still. All right, so that's where she will be. Now her arms won't necessarily stay in that position. I'm going to think about like a little pose that I want to put her in. Make sure I'm not missing. Thanks, Christina. All right, so I'm going to continue to wrap her arms and her head with this material. These are called wrappers. And you just put that. All right. So I'm going to do here, just start wrapping her arms. Oh, she's not quite secure yet because it does take a while to dry. I wanted to get her in position. All right, so we got that piece. And because these are her arms, I want to make sure that they're not like, really, really big. So I just smooth that on really well. And then I'll add a tiny piece to the end. I will continue. So let's do the other side. Hold on, guys. This is why I use gloves, because everything sticks. All right. It does take a while for this to dry, but I have clothing and stuff that I'm going to be dressing her with, which will also help to attach it to the rock, and you'll see in a little bit. But I wanted her to get a little attached to the base. Plus, it also helps whenever I'm working that she's sitting on something, at least at this stage of the game. All right, so I think I'm going to leave that arm in that position. I was just wondering if I should leave it there or if I should change the pose, but I think I'll leave it in that position. Hold on to her right there. And if you all can see. All right, and then I just And I'm working on this side, and I'm trying to avoid having to move the rock too many times because I'm trying to get her secure. Otherwise, I would move the rock. All right, I'm going to do something here which I normally wouldn't do. I'm going to work a little, I'm going to go ahead and add her dress at the base here, which will also help to attach her more to the base, to her rock, okay? And then I will continue to work with the upper body and adding on all of the other dress, because adding her dress from her waist down will also help to secure her to the rock a little bit more. And then come tomorrow, then I can work from the waist up and attach the other clothing. So normally I would just let her sit here for a while until she's completely dried onto the rock. And then I will continue adding. But since you guys are watching, I would just kind of, you know, I can always change the way that I work. So what I'm going to do is this piece here is going to become like a little skirt around. And notice it's one full thing. So how do I get this on? And there's no hole or anything. So there's a trick. What I do is I cut from the corner. I will simply cut up into the middle. And that way I can kind of wrap it around her, you see? And then what I do once I dip it, I simply take this section here goes around her waist, and then you'll see how I create her little dress. So let me go ahead and dip this real quickly. And like I said before, this was a piece that I found at an antique store. It was just in one of those little, buckets. I think I got it for like $1 or something. I thought this would be really neat to make her a little skirt. So let me make sure I get every excess out of there. It's a little too much. You don't want it to be completely saturated, but you don't want your pieces to be dripping wet. All right, so here we go. It is saturated with material with the power pole, and then what I'm going to do now is just open it up, and I'm going to place it, hoping you guys can. Her arm is kind of in. Let me see if I can put her in a position where y'all are able to see it better. Is that better? Looks like a little bit better. So this is going to become like her skirt. And again, the reason I'm doing this is because this will help her to secure a little bit more. And then once this part is dried, then tomorrow when you all come for part 3, we can work on the upper body once now she'll be secure to the base. So this I'm simply going to put underneath. Just pull it up to where her waist would be. What I'm going to do is just play around with it and give it a little bit of wrinkling, just like how regular clothes will kind of wrinkle when you're wearing a skirt. All right. And make sure that it is attached to the base. You want to make sure that it is attached to the stone because that gives it extra strength. You see that? All right. It is quite wet right now, so it's going to continue to move a little bit. But everything I do from here on out is going to be attaching her to her base, and that way you can lift up the entire sculpture. Nothing would fall apart because everything is secure to each other. Her dress is attached to the base, both front and back, and her bum is attached to the base. That's why I keep kind of like pressing in to make sure that she is secure onto her base, as well as the fin here. So just, all right, so I'm going to go ahead and add on part 2 of her skirt because I wanted to give it a little bit more oomph. That one layer just isn't doing it for me, so I'm going to add on another piece. Right. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and bring that up. And if you can see that, she has 2 layers of her dress. So what do you think so far? Let's see. Loving it. Looking great. Thanks, Michelle. So that does not harden on your hands. Oh, yes, it does. So, but it's kind of like having glue. You know, when we're kids and we would put glue on and then we'll let it dry and peel off, it will come off of my hands that way. It'll take me a while, but it'll come off that way. So come tomorrow, I may still have it, and you can tell, you can see the bronze color. This is the wet part, you can see, and then that bronzy color, that's what the sculpture would look like. So it's already starting to dry, but it'll peel off. It'll peel off. Okay. So I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and let this part completely dry. That way each time I work with it, she's not shifting. I want her to completely dry in place on her rock because I do have a lot of other things that I need to do to the upper body, like completing her dress at the top, covering this part here with the wrappers, covering her head. I also have another part of a dress that I'm going to be putting on her. There's a shawl that I want to add onto her, and plus we have to give her hair. So I want to make sure that she is secure to her base before I start to manipulate anything at the top, because I don't want her to be constantly shifting. Does that make sense? Let me, you know what, let me grab, I'm gonna just shove my hand into this so I can move the laptop without getting this stuff all over it. All right. Oh, hi, Michelle. You're here. I didn't see you because I had the laptop turned down, the camera facing down so that you guys could actually see me working because I'm working on the floor. I'm so glad you're here. So what I'm going to do is I will let this, I know I'm kind of, this is not what I normally do, but because I don't want it to get all over my laptop, I'm just going to stick my hand into this glove. All right. So what I'm going to do is let this dry in place and come tomorrow for part 3. We'll finish up the top, add add the wrappers onto the top part as well as her head, and then we'll finish off the upper part of her dress. There's also a shawl that I'm thinking about. Let me show you the material. Thinking about using this material to create a type of shawl for her. And then, of course, I'm going to be giving her some mermaid hair, long mermaid hair. So I want to make sure that she is completely secure to her base before I start to do that, because that also helps me whenever I'm doing all of this extra stuff on her, that she does not move around. So I think this is a good place to stop today. Definitely we got quite far. So tomorrow will be part 3, where we do all of the things I just mentioned. And don't forget that some lucky person will be getting this to take home. All right. It's Memorial Day weekend. It is. And yeah, Michelle, guess what? I got this from an antique store as well. And I think it was in one of those boxes for like a quarter. A lot of the stuff I'm working with are things that I found just in like a little junk box at the antique store, and they were just trying to get rid of. So that's where I find a lot of really cool materials to work with. Even the Dollar Tree has some really nice material that I get. Canada, it's Victoria Day. Yes. In Mexico, there's no holiday. I know. All right, so I think we're going to go ahead and stop there. Let me give you one last look of where we stopped. This is the Magical Mermaid, and she'll be even more magical when she gets the other half of her clothing on and her hair. All right, so you guys want to just chat a bit, or you want to come back tomorrow? Because I know, Christina, you have a live you're preparing for as well. And I am going to go ahead and get cleaned up. Fun stuff. Yeah. I'm going to start a live soon. All right, Emily, I'm going to get my hands all cleaned up here, and then I'll hop over to you, okay? We have 2 Michelles. Yes, we do. We've got Michelle from the Coloring Vlogs, and we have Age Graceful Michelle. Can't wait to see the finished product. Well, come tomorrow. I'm going to do the live again tomorrow to do, hopefully tomorrow maybe the end of it. It depends on just how far I get in that particular, adding on the rest. But I think tomorrow will be the completion, and then what I'll do is maybe a quick live to show it all dried with a little bit of color added on, that sort of stuff. So enjoy the cool air, Michelle. Ah, you're funny. All right, so I think this would be a good place to stop. I so appreciate all of you coming in. I'm glad I got a chance to do this. It's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. And even more fun having you guys there. Good you are not on live. Isn't that the truth? Oh, you're funny. But look, take a look at it. See how my fingers have that shimmer to it? That is the bronze effect that you'll see on the sculpture once it's all dried. See, this is all dried on my fingers now, but see, I can also start to peel it off. It's almost like peeling glue off. Now, it's easy to come off of my skin, but this will not come out of my clothing. So there you go. So usually what I just do, and the other thing is you do not want to wash this down the sink, down any drain, because it will solidify in the drain and destroy your plumbing. It's a mess to clean up, but it's so much fun. But the thing is, I'm prepared. I always prepare when I'm working with this material, Emily, because it is a mess. So I don't know if you saw, I have a big sheet, that sheet of plastic, because it doesn't stick to plastic. And what I do is, after I'm finished, when I'm finished tomorrow, actually, yeah, because this is still pretty clean. I'll still leave this down. But once I'm completely finished, I will just simply remove everything off of it and roll up the plastic and throw it away. And then I will reserve this clothing for the next time I work with this material so that I don't mess up another outfit. So usually there's an outfit that's reserved. The first one that I used, that one is just a total mess, so I got rid of it. But this one will continue to be used for this material. I can see it. Yes, that's the beauty of this. You can definitely see with each piece that I add on that she's, um, becoming alive. That's I love these, and usually whenever I'm doing them, I don't really have an idea of what I'm going to do or how the material is going to work with it. So that's what kind of why I worked backwards a little bit today, because usually I'd have the entire thing covered in the wrappers before I start to add the clothing. But because she's sitting on her rock and I want her to get secured, I went ahead and added some of her clothing on the bottom, secured her to the base, and now I'm going to let her dry. And then we'll work from the waist up tomorrow. And that way, tomorrow she'll be completely solid sitting on the rock, and you'll be able to see some of the bronze in her clothing as well, since the material should be dried by tomorrow. Everybody going live today. You'll be on at 8 o'clock. I will see you then. And Emily, I will be on in just a few minutes once I get, I will come over to your live in just a few minutes once I get my hands all cleaned up. See, it just simply peels off. All right. So thank you guys so much. I know a lot of you have stuff that you have to prepare for. So I really appreciate all of you being here. And I will see you guys on your lives, or I will see you all later on. And definitely I will see you tomorrow for the next installment of Magical Mermaid. And I guess tomorrow we may end up naming her too. Wouldn't that be cool? All right. So I'll see you guys again. Have a great weekend. For the rest of the day. See you all in a little while.